Champ certainly is a very interesting rank. At this point in the rank ladder, you have players who are good at all kinds of things. Players who are really strong mechanically, players who are really strong in game sense, and then players that are at a balance of both. So in order to thrive at this rank and continue to climb upwards, it is important to master some very fundamental skills. Some of the most important ones including awareness, positioning, and rotations. And in today's video, we'll be diving into a champ replay to see how important it is to utilize these skills to climb higher in rank. This is fine. I like this positioning here, nice and far back. This is good. And this is going to be the first moment that we're going to talk about awareness of other players. So, obviously, in this situation, who knows what the heck is going to result from this ball heading to the backboard, because all three opponents are there. So with this picture, I'm staying fairly far back. Like, midfield is about as far forward as I want to be, especially since I have a teammate here. Because again, I don't want to put myself around the same area, because then any ball that gets past him is also past us, which is bad. We want him to be second man, that's fine. We'll be the backup in case the ball gets over him, just so we're not leaving a completely open field. But what we'll see is you continue to creep forward, and now you're basically at the same level as your teammate. And now you're going to still face forward. At the point that you see your teammate going, because this 50-50 can be so volatile, I am turning back this way. Yeah. At least for a little bit. And ideally you'd be a bit further back, like probably still like outside their final third. Just in case this 50-50 goes backwards, because then you can just calmly drive back instead of the ball being pinched directly over your head in a very awkward spot. Because the other thing we have to consider is how easily is our team going to be able to recover from where they are. Well, one teammate's here at the opponent's backboard, so he's not getting back anytime soon. Other teammate's immediately challenging, so he's also not going to be back quickly. If this ball gets over us, now we are left retreating as fast as possible with all three members of the opposing team just coming at us, which is never the situation we want to be in, because that is grounds to pretty much give up goals fairly consistently. So, right here, your teammate does a good job of recognizing that you're probably not going to get back to this ball quickly, and takes it from you, which is fine. As we land here, though we don't want to follow our teammate directly up the field, because if we want to be a passing option for him, there's two things we need. First of all, we need a good angle, because if he's coming from this side, we need to be in a spot where if the ball comes across, we can actually reach it. A lot of players have a bad habit of positioning on this side of the net when the ball is coming around the corner from here, which inherently is not great, because the ability to pass the ball from like this part of the corner out to here is really hard, because that's a really tight angle. So instead, if you want to be a passing option, you want to swing wide to the far post, because if the ball is going to come across, it is much more likely that it's going to land around here, as opposed to here. What I would do here is we recognize, hey, teammate coming, okay, we need resources, where can we get them? And the easiest answer is there's a path of like 3 or 4 paths right here that we could take as we're working our way up the field, and that would guide us directly to where we want to be. Because I know here, we're just going to go up the field, we don't get pretty much anything, and then we're going to position right next to the net. So we do swing wide, but now because of how close we are to the net, even if our teammate had a free touch, we have very little time to react to the ball coming across at a dead stop to try to go ahead and take a shot. If we were slightly further back and continuing with our momentum coming forward, we would be in a much better spot. And that's another thing that is really important, is just preservation of your momentum. And this is something that really comes down to the idea of playing fast as well. Because so many players, again, think, okay, we want to play fast. That means we want to be moving quickly around the field. When in reality, a lot of times the way to play the fastest is to just drive normally, because you will preserve your forward momentum. And then when you're ready to make a play, you can just full send at basically full speed without having to use a ton of boost to get up to it. instead of ending up too close to the play like this, where we've now come to a dead stop, and now if the ball comes across, it's going to be really hard to get that speed back again to make this shot happen. Right, so this is about awareness of our teammates. So, one thing we have to realize, you can see him, he can't see you. He has no idea you're here. He probably knows you're behind him, but he can't see you. So if we see him using boost, it is best just to let him continue to go. Because if we also commit, we're just going to end up in a double commit. Because he doesn't actually know that we're challenging. And that's what we're going to see here. So this is all fine. But as soon as I see him start to use boost, I'm just going to bail out. Because he's going to get this challenge regardless. Or he's at least going to force this guy to do something. And if I just like turn backwards here slightly and let this guy hit the ball, then once he's off it, because this guy's challenged, I can then go ahead and challenge challenge the ball again, or take the ball for free if he's off of it. So that's just, again, not getting in the same spot as your teammate and just paying attention to where they're going. This one is probably a good time to try to take a light touch and maintain control. These balls are definitely hard to necessarily maintain control of because it's so awkward on the wall. What I would probably do here is I would just slow down, take a light touch here, and try to at least force a 50-50 out with this first guy. Reason being, the last thing we want to do, especially as you're moving up in the ranks, is just chuck this ball away where no one from our team can get to it. Because all that's doing is basically serving it up to one of these guys on a silver platter, where the ball is just like bouncing by itself or it's rolling by itself right to them. Like this guy, or this guy, whoever gets it, is gonna be like, oh sweet, I get a perfect setup for free, and I just got the ball handed to me. One of the things that's hard mentally is we see, okay, ball's in our half, we want to get it out of our half because we want it over here. But generally trying to do that too fast normally results in it just being boomed directly back into your half because you gave up control. Rocket League ends up being a game that's all about control. Whichever team controls the ball and the field better is normally the team that's gonna win. So anytime you have a chance to control the ball and force them to play a game on your terms, the better. Because even if we lose a 50 to this guy, at the very least, we are dictating how this play is going. We're not basically just saying, hey, here you go, you dictate how the play is going to go, and we'll react to you. We're making them react to us, which is what we want to do. Right here, this is a prime example of touching the ball when we don't need to. Yeah, we can touch the ball here, but what exactly are we gaining by flipping into this and hitting it up into the air? Because no one from this team's following it up. The other guy's like out here somewhere. And this guy's backwards. So I'm not really worried about them doing anything threatening. And I know for a fact that I have a teammate behind me who is probably reading where this touch is going to go. So what we want to do, especially in solo queue, when, you know, there's not really a whole lot of means of communication with our teammates. You might be in, like, voice comms with them. I don't know. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that the game is as predictable as possible for our teammates. So we very rarely want to make like surprising touches that are going to throw the ball in a different direction than they expect. Because if we do that, that will then throw them off and make them awkward. So in the same way that our teammate was chasing along the sidewall, and we didn't expect it, and it put us into an awkward spot, making touches that dramatically change the trajectory of the ball when we don't need to, can also put our teammates in very awkward spots and confuse them. So generally, we just want to know roughly where our teammates are. We know we have two behind us, so it is relatively okay to just let this ball go over our head. There's no danger of this going into the net if we let it go over us, so just be careful of making weird touches, because it generally will throw your team off, which is what we'll see here. Because, where is he? There he is. So he was already over here, reading this touch coming across, and now you just batted it up into the air, into the midfield, and actually put it in a more dangerous spot than if it was just over here along the wall. So yeah, just be careful of that. Making weird touches generally makes things weird. And then be careful of this rotation. You get kind of lucky that he misses that shot. So this one's a bit tough. So we make this touch. As we land, we see the ball is going over here. So, okay, ball is going that way. We have a teammate who's already going over that way. What we don't want to do is we don't want to create a traffic jam over here, because our teammate already has to figure out how to get around this guy. We don't want to add in him also having to figure out how to get around us. Try to avoid this. Especially, like, if this ball was going this way, then this is fine. Because that
makes so much sense.
Away from the ball.
So much sense.
But if it's going this way, we want to just say, okay, like, yeah, we're not going to be able to get the big boost. What can we get? And it's just all these pads this way. Because then, when this ball does come across this way, now we can attack it from over here, instead of it coming over our shoulder like this. By facing it, we'll have a much better angle to play it from, instead of it being a really hard ball to deal with. So, yeah. Basically, if the ball is going to one corner, you want to rotate to the other one if you have a teammate already there trying to play the ball. Right here is another perfect opportunity for control. So this is great. We get this touch. And now we're just going to kind of punt the ball away. Probably accidentally. I think you mean to take control here. I think you're trying to get a light touch. But the problem is that you jump off the wall, which adds forward momentum to the ball, which just gives it away. So instead, you could just stay on the wall, just let the ball in front of you. Even if you don't get an immediate touch, you can just stay behind the ball. You don't need to try to hit the ball as soon as possible every time. We can literally just let the ball sit here and sit behind it, and invite this player who's currently facing this way to turn and try to challenge us. Because if we're just sitting behind the ball, we have so much more say over how it's going to go than if we tap it away like this. So look for those opportunities to not necessarily just go and hit the ball right away, but just kind of let it sit. But especially in a situation like this where you got one player backwards and these two are also both retreating, like this is the prime opportunity where you don't just want to hit the ball away, because no one for your team is able to follow it up, and these guys are just going to take that space and go, cool, thanks. That's confidence. This is 100%. You are waiting to see how this bounce comes out before you just go for it. Again, this is about recognizing what person are you in rotation right now? You're first man. So, hey, if you get beat, so what? You got two players behind you. It's alright. This is the kind of ball that we just want to go for. Like, we want to make sure that we don't give these guys a touch. We don't want to get into a 50-50. We should win this ball for free, and we can just go. And here's the thing about weird bounces. It's difficult. Bounces are weird, especially like around these corners and stuff. It can do a bunch of weird things. But the only way that we're going to get better at reading these bounces is if we actually try. If we constantly just sit in a comfort zone of like, okay, waiting, okay, now I know where it's going, and my opponent's here. We're never actually going to get better at reading these because we keep just waiting for what we're comfortable with. So if we want to get better, we need to push our comfort zone and just be willing to try. Like, if we get beat, oh well, we can learn from it and move on and try again later. But sitting in our comfort zone is what's going to keep us stagnant in rank, because we're not going to be learning anything new, or being able to read the game faster, which is kind of necessary if you want to push into the higher ranks. So yeah, don't be afraid to just go, especially in a situation like that when you know you have support behind you. If you're last man, being a little more patient makes sense. First man, though, just send it. Just send it. Good challenge there, good speed. So right here, this is a bit of unnecessary movement. So we get this challenge all well and good. And now at this point, we need to identify the situation we're in. Theoretically, based on what we've just seen, our teammate should be first to this ball fairly comfortably. And it should be fine. So we don't need to go rushing around the field anywhere. We should, at this point, because we're fairly low resources, just look for, you know, a couple pads maybe, as we're waiting for this guy to come forward, and staying in a fairly neutral spot for what's to come next. Because now we're going to be kind of in an awkward spot, really close to where this ball is bouncing. And now this ball is coming this way, and we're using boost to go towards the corner. So if instead of that really tight turn, we had swung a bit wider, this is where that space really matters, because now the ball would be coming this way, and we'd be, like, back here, and we'd have more space to attack this ball comfortably. Because it kind of looks like you're stuck between wanting this and wanting this, is what this is going to seem like. Because you kind of end up in this awkward position where you almost get neither, and it makes it really weird, and also throws your teammate off. So this is one where you just don't need to go this fast. But yeah, this is like the best example of like giving yourself more space and being more patient and going slower. This is a classic example of just not using taking ball cam off. So because of where this ball is, as it's coming down, we need to get to a point where we're comfortable knowing where the ball is roughly based off the circle on the ground when we take ball cam off. Because what we need to know here is where are the opponents and what are they doing. Because if an opponent is already like coming forward and jumping, there's no point for you to do anything. If they're backed off, then you can just catch the ball and take it on a dribble. But we don't know what they're doing unless we actually look. And a lot of lower ranked players get in kind of this blind area where they're completely blind to what the opponents are doing, and they're just hoping that they're not there. Or they're thinking that they are there and they're just gonna jump and pray, which is what you do here. Because you're just like, yep, well, they're probably there, so let's just send it and hope for the best. So, yeah, look for opportunities to turn that ball cam off, especially when the ball is, like, directly over your head. And staring up straight at the ball is not really gonna benefit you in any way. It's much better to be able to see where the other players are on the field in order to determine what you need to be doing. So, we're gonna flip over this way, towards the corner, which, first of all, is where our teammate already is coming in. And because we're so low resources, and we have one teammate here, one teammate coming in, this is the opportunity where we want to take these pads around the outside of the net as we rotate around, because it'll give us at least like 24 from what we can see, and probably more as we go all the way around, and will put us in a decent position to defend, as opposed to just flipping forward with nothing and then turning around with nothing because we didn't get any pads. And now we're just in a horrible spot with 0 boost. And if we had just rotated around the horseshoe, which is what I like to call it, we're probably in this same spot right about now, but with like 40 more boost. And we can make so many more plays from that position with that much boost as opposed to being here with 0. I do hope that you guys found this video helpful, and if you'd like a bit more in-depth coaching for yourself, make sure you check out my Discord, which will be linked down in the description, as I do provide free coaching over there. And of course, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you click that subscribe button right down below, so you make sure you don't miss any future Rocket League content. And as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. See you later, guys.